A high-level art thief, Nemo, is trapped with no way out in a luxury high-tech penthouse in Times Square, New York City, after his heist doesn't go as planned. We tell you first that when he was a child he was asked what he would save if his house caught fire, and the man answered three things: his sketchbook, his Assisi album, and his bully cat, but at no time did he mention his family and friends. His cat died. He lent his album. The rest ends, but art is forever. Nemo, a middle-aged man, prepares to assault a luxurious apartment with the help of other guys who helped him get in. But he did not find the self-portrait that costs millions. He only found other paintings that were not worth much, so he put the key that his cronies gave him to get out of that place. But what he did was activate the alarm, so he panicked and started to run, but everything was closing in the place. Also, the alarm would not stop ringing. His cronies left him alone, and trying to get out and turn off the alarm, he ruined the thermostat. But Nemo was trapped and abandoned in that apartment. So when trying to break the door, he broke the thermostat, so the temperature increased a bit. Also, in the fridge was almost empty of food, and Nemo continued trying to open the door but realized that the other side was made of steel, so he tried to call his cronies on the radio, but they have completely abandoned him in that place. Besides, in that place there is no food but cookies and caviar, so by law he has to eat that. Then he turns on the TV and notices the security cameras, so that becomes his hobby. Then he hears the buzz of airplanes, so he thinks his cronies have gone for him, but none of that happens. While the temperature increases increasingly to be hotter, Nemo can no longer stand that heat. Also, the phones do not work. Everything is armored. There is no way to get out of there. He is trapped in a luxurious apartment, dying at the same time. He drinks water from the pool, but realizes that it is full of chlorine, and the horrible heat is killing him. He tries to drink water from the fish, but that water is horrible. While he watches the little fish that he would like to eat, there is no water, and he eats some ice that he eats. He finds a place to cool off and drink a few drops of water, but he decides to escape through the roof, so he tries to make a ladder with everything he finds, but he can't touch the ceiling with the pastels, so he starts making his sketches, but in that he sees Jasmine through the cameras, who has become his muse. He tries to fix the thermostat, but the temperature has already reached 38 degrees. Desperate for food, he opens some cans and ends up hurting himself. He gets into the freezer to lick the ice and feel fresh air, and he stays there for a while because the Macarena song starts playing, and Nemo can't stand that song. He keeps eating cookies with caviar. Then he notices a wounded pigeon in the yard, but there's no way to help it. Then he hears the sprinklers on the plants, and not being stupid, he immediately drinks water from it, and he stays there for a while because of how refreshing it is. But he doesn't give up and tries to make his steps higher, and thus finally manages to touch the ceiling, but the temperature has already increased to 40 degrees. Being there, Jasmine, the cleaning girl, became his obsession, and he even makes a sketch of her. Then he notices that she is outside the apartment, so he goes to the door quickly and screams. He makes as much noise as possible, but because of the noise of the vacuum cleaner plus the headphones he has on, nothing happens. Apparently Nemo has no escape. Then he tries to fix the thermostat. The air begins to cool, which is a salvation for Nemo, and he notices the photograph of the endless staircase. But what meaning does that have? It doesn't make sense to him, but he even created a system to collect water when it falls for a few seconds. So at least he already has water, for which he even has fun now with the song of the Macarena. And the good thing is that it still has caviar. Also, the temperature is now bearable for the body, so he dares to climb again his ladder and tries to break the glass of the roof. But it turns out that it is not so easy. Nemo is going crazy as he starts to talk to non-existent people, but now the temperature begins to drop too much. It is true that he is no longer dying of heat, but yes, of the cold. But he sees Jasmine talking to a guy who even became somewhat jealous. He continues trying on the roof, but it turns out that there are nuts to remove, so again it is very difficult. Then the sun's rays enter, and Nemo out of nowhere begins to draw a circle on one of them, but he does not give up and continues trying to break the roof, and notices the wounded dove and would like to get out just like she is outside, but both are trapped. Neither can help the other. In that, Nemo destroys a door through the closet and finds a secret passage, thus finding the painting that costs $3 million, which is the reason why he is locked in there, for entering to steal that self-portrait, and also finds a book, Heaven Hell, so he takes the painting along with the book, but what use is it? He cannot escape from there. In that, he sees a painting that looks like him trapped in that house, and his only friend has died, so he begins to make a sketch of the painting that is there, but in that he sees Jasmine again. He tries to yell at her, pass her a paper, but none of that works. Nobody listens to him. Jasmine is not her real name. We do not know that. Nemo was the one who named her that. In that, Nemo has a hallucination where the owner of the house invites him to a meeting and there is Jasmine, which is strange that she is surrounded by all those people, but he realizes that all that was a dream. But he manages to make a pliers to remove the nuts, and begins to make the circle bigger. He is creating a masterpiece. He is losing his sanity totally since he hears voices. He talks to himself. But in a crazy way, or also being alone, it could be a way to talk to himself so as not to go crazy, in that he ends up eating one of the little fish since he has nothing to eat. He is there screaming alone, making his modern art sketches, eating the raw fish because the kitchen does not work. He looks through the camera seeing everyone outside, but he is alone and locked in there. Will he be crazy talking to more imaginary people, or is it a way to stay sane at the same time? Wow, his work of art looks great. The whole house right now is a total mess, and without any food he begins to eat himself the animal food that is canned. There is nothing else to satisfy hunger. He continues talking to imaginary beings, but he never stops trying to remove the nuts and manages to remove one, but ends up falling and breaking his leg. So his situation has become even more difficult, in that he sees Jasmine and is happy that he is no longer alone and is about to kiss her, but they do nothing. Jasmine only provokes him in his decadence that he is in right now. She never touches him, but well, as it was to be imagined, it was all a hallucination. Nemo is giving up and made a crutch for his broken leg. So if it was difficult before, now it has doubled, in that he has dental problems, so he is going to pull out a tooth. But then the owner arrives and hits him. But again, it was all a hallucination of Nemo. There is no one there, but he looks at the fire alarm. So he is going to provoke one so that the alarm sounds and get out of that hellish prison. Right now he prefers that she take him. The police to stay there one more day, so he manages to turn on the alarm, but it turns out that it doesn't make any noise. It only throws water to put out the fire. If the house was destroyed, now it is in totally bad condition. Everything becomes difficult for Nemo. The TV is ruined. He will no longer be able to see Jasmine. The house begins to flood. All the appliances are ruined by the water. Finally, the water calms down, but now the house is in worse condition, and in Nemo's state it is more difficult for him to move from one place to another. Wow, things went badly for Nemo. He went into steel to become a millionaire, but karma played totally against him. His cronies abandoned him. He was locked up without enough food and water. Totally alone, he is going crazy. He managed to find the painting that costs millions. But now what good is that to him? Remember what he said at the beginning. He wrote all that to the owner of the house. Cats die, music ends, but art lives forever. He lives in your house for a while. For you it was a home, but for me a cage. He says sorry for having destroyed your house, but maybe I needed to be rebuilt. And he goes back up the informal staircase while singing I'm going to heaven on the hill, and he discovered the secret of the photo of the endless staircase, and that's how our friend Nemo ends.